and entrepreneurial investment from the free market. And economics were not on their side. The capital costs of building any nuclear reactor were colossal, and the USSR was rich in fossil fuels, especially beneath the remote wastes of Siberia where new oil and gas deposits were being discovered all the time. Yet the sheer size of the Union and its poor infrastructure favored nuclear power. The scientists pointed out that the Siberian deposits were thousands of miles from where they were most needed, in the western part of the Soviet Union where the majority of its population and industry lay. Moving either raw materials or electricity over these distances was costly and inefficient. Meanwhile, the nuclear plant's closest competition, hydroelectric stations, required flooding huge areas of valuable farmland. Nuclear stations, while expensive to build, had little environmental impact. They were largely independent of natural resources. They could be located close to the sources of demand in major cities, and if constructed on a large enough scale, they could produce vast amounts of electricity. Apparently convinced by Kurchatov's promises, Gosplan released the money for 2 prototype plants, one with a pressurized water reactor of the kind already becoming standard in the United States, and another with a water graphite channel type, a scaled-up version of Atom Mirny 1. But just as they would in the West, construction costs quickly skyrocketed, and Gosplan suspected the scientists had misled them. They scaled back the plans and called a halt to work on the PWR plant, and Kurchatov's vision of the atom-powered future gradually collapsed. He pleaded for the flow of resources to be turned back on, writing to the head of Gosplan to insist that the plants were crucial for determining the future of the Soviet atom. But his pleas went unheeded, and in 1960, Kurchatov died without seeing his dream revived. In the meantime, the Ministry of Medium Machine Building had completed a new project, hidden inside the clandestine nuclear site known as Combine 816, or Tomsk 7, in western Siberia. The EI-2, or Ivan II, was a big military water graphite reactor with a 50 edge. Its predecessor, Ivan I, had been a simple model built solely to manufacture plutonium for nuclear warheads, but EI-2 had been adapted to perform 2 tasks at once. It made weapons-grade plutonium and, as a byproduct of the process, also generated 100 megawatts of electricity. And when work on the Soviet civil nuclear program finally restarted 2 years after Kurchatov's death, by then lagging behind its competition in the United States, it did so with a new emphasis on reactors that were affordable to build and cheap to run. At that moment, it was not the sophisticated experimental reactors of Igor Kurchatov's civilian nuclear program, but the stalwart Ivan II that stood ready to carry the atomic banner for the Soviet Union. Less than a year after Igor Kurchatov presented his imperial vision of an atom-powered USSR to the Party Congress in Moscow, a toothy young Queen Elizabeth II made her own ceremonial appearance outside Calder Hall Nuclear Power Station